Hi, I'm Angie Everhart, and welcome to Conversations with Angie Everhart. And my first guest today is, or my one and only guest today is.
Yeah, you have more?
No, you're my guy.
Is
You're
there
my
people
guy.
hiding underneath the desk that I need to be concerned with? Are they going to pop up behind me?
Maybe. I don't know. I see Lieutenant Dan over there. So.
Yeah. No, look, it wouldn't be the first time.
I'd like to welcome Ross Patterson to the show. Thank you so much for coming on and having a conversation with me.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. How are you? Welcome to Wilmington, North Carolina.
I'm so excited to be here.
It's crazy, right? Dawson's Creek.
It's really warm.
Yeah.
It's really warm here. And
that's a polite way of saying it's too hot where you live.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculously warm here. It reminds me of the movie Body Heat.
Oh, yeah.
But it makes me want to take my clothes off.
Well,
a lot of them.
That's probably a different show.
Well, speaking of that.
Yeah.
I like to start my show off with a little foreplay.
Go ahead. Fire away. That's what I'm best at, is what
Foreplay?
my wife says. Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
She's a lucky lady.
Yeah, because I bring 3 other dudes in the room, and so it's the 4 of us, and then we play. Are you thinking of something different?
I'm absolutely thinking something just a little bit different, and mine is like a play on words. I'm going to give you 4 words, and you just give me what you think.
Okay.
What your first thinking is.
Sure.
My first one is college.
College, Ohio State University. The Ohio State University. That's where I graduated from.
You did graduate.
I did.
I'm from Ohio.
I'm one of the few people in Hollywood who's got an actual college degree. Usually it's like, man, I was 16, took my pickup truck out there, and I said, fuck it. You know?
Okay,
but I actually went to school. My parents made me go to school. They said, look, if you want to do this, go
you
to
have
college.
to graduate.
Yeah. In case it doesn't work out, at least you have a degree to fall back on.
And have you fallen back on it?
Sort of. I majored in journalism and communications, and so I write books as well. Sold many screenplays, rewrote a million screenplays. So technically, yes, I have done that. And then after that, I went to NYU, and that's where the film and acting aspect came into it.
Well, I knew I liked you. There's something about you that I liked. And
You're from Akron?
I'm from Akron, Ohio.
Same as LeBron James. Mm-hmm. The two, you guys. It's the rubber capital of the world. It smells weird in that town.
No, it doesn't. It was a great place to grow up.
I was just there 2 months ago. I did a gig there 2 months ago.
Great place to grow up, and it's a great place to leave.
Yeah.
If you want to do something with your life.
Yeah. Yeah, Akron's not the hot spot unless you want to work at that Arby's there, right by the campus.
Or Swenson's. Swenson's.
Big fan.
Big Ohio thing.
Yeah, big fan.
Okay, let me give you a couple other words. Beer.
Wilmington Brewery. That is my favorite on the planet. It is a local beer here. I was a Kyle. Do you know what a Kyle is?
No, I don't.
Monster energy drink, and then I punch my fist through a drywall, right? Just because that's my style of partying, how I like to get wet on the weekends.
Kyle?
A Kyle, yeah. Like a
Kyle, like the name Kyle?
Yeah, it's like an offshoot of a Chad. So there's Chad, Kyle, and then a Ross. So I was a Kyle where it was Coors Light for me. It was Boone's Farm and nothing else. Then I come down to the South and craft beer is everywhere, and everybody's like, "Oh, I've got a beard and I've got a mustache." I drink craft beer, and
My name's
made fun
Kyle.
of it. Yeah, exactly.
Kyle.
And I made fun of it forever, and then I was like, "All right, give me your finest." You know, I don't know why they were in the 17th century. Give me your finest mug of ale. But as soon as I had my first like real craft beer that was made by somebody who wasn't, dipping a sock in a fucking bathtub, I was sold and I was in, and it's my favorite beer on the planet. I've done live shows everywhere.
Still your favorite beer?
100%.
Nice.
And I've been everywhere and had every craft beer you could imagine, and Wilmington Brewery is my favorite. And local beer.
Is it a dark beer or a light beer?
They have both. So they have
I'll
they
have
have
to
those
try it
ones
while
that are thick enough that you need a fork and knife.
Gross.
Yeah, I'm not into that at all. I'm an IPA guy, and then high ABV. Like if it's in an 8 or a 9, I know the first one I'm gonna loosen up. I know the second one I'll probably take out a knife and then slash my own tires, so I can't drive home.
Oh, you an angry drunk.
And then the third one, no, I'm protecting myself from a DUI. I can't drive away if all the tires are popped. Yeah. Now the third one, that's where I start to find myself sexy. And then the fourth one's where I call my wife and say, hey,
come get me.
Yeah. I don't think I'm not feeling sexy anymore. You got to come get me. So that's my favorite beer.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That kind of threw me off there.
Yeah, I bet you were not expecting to walk into this freight train today, were you?
Not,
no.
you know?
No, you're like, yeah, I'm flying out to Wilmington, no big deal. There'll be some dude there, like, I heard he's kind of funny and out of control, and then you step into this hurricane.
Yeah, but
like,
I know you've done a lot of movies, you've written books, you've done a lot of things in Hollywood. So I'm not here to talk to somebody just from Wilmington. I think you have experience, and you have experience in this business, and you're good at what you do.
Yes, for a very long time. 20 years, which is crazy.
So I have two more words for you. The next one, family.
That is my favorite thing, and that's why I moved here.
Okay.
When my wife was pregnant, we actually met on a movie.
I know. I saw some of that movie. That movie looks amazing.
It was really, really great.
50K and a call girl.
Yes. Critically, everybody loved it. Financially, it didn't do that great because nobody wants to see a drama about a guy with cancer.
They do now.
They do now.
Maybe you should change a little bit of it and re-release it.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Just change the title, and as soon as they get the rights back next year, and then just redrop it and be like, oh my God, it's amazing.
Yes.
So no, we met on a movie in 2011. We shot that. And then when we were deciding to get married and she was pregnant, we didn't want to raise our children in LA. So we wanted to give them the best life possible. So we were on like a press tour doing press for that film. And I said, look, pick any city you want, and then we'll buy a house there. And then I'll commute back and forth and do my bullshit. And,
so she has family here?
No,
or?
We didn't know anyone here.
Wow.
And I had never been here. All I knew that was Dawson's Creek and One Tree Hill shot here. And it was beautiful. And the houses are a lot cheaper than Los Angeles, and my kids can go to a nice public school. Considerably cheaper, but you get a lot for your money here. It's unbelievable. And
really
my kids can go to a
too.
nice public school. They're not in a private school, trying to decide which dagger necklace is going to hold each other's cocaine in it. So,
geez, there's a lot of drugs here.
Well, no, in Los Angeles there is.
Oh.
So...
I think there's a lot of drugs everywhere, but Los Angeles is really, really bad.
Yeah, and just
I try to instill that in my son. Every time I see somebody that died of an overdose, I'm like, dead. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, guess how?
Yeah.
He's like, drugs.
Drugs, yeah. A lot of it's going to be drugs. You're not going to get a lot of hand gliding accidents in LA. I
actually know a guy who died from hand gliding.
Do you really?
Well, I spent a year skydiving, so yes, I do.
R.I.P. R.I.P. No, but so we moved here for the family itself, so everybody could have a nice normal life outside of Hollywood. How many
kids do you have?
We have two. We have two children now, and one's going into kindergarten, the other one's starting preschool.
Oh, good ages.
And it's great. The community is amazing. The city is amazing, and we have the same gorgeous beaches as L.A., which is nice.
But warmer water.
Yeah, I think
you can actually swim in it.
Exactly. And I think one of the biggest turning points was my partner in my production company in LA. He was at a child's birthday party for his kids, and go to the backyard, and the music, it sounded familiar. And I was like, man, they hire a cover band. And I was like, it sounds like Weezer. And it was. And I was like, why are they playing a 5-year-old's birthday party?
They lived here.
Yeah, it was their basis. It was his kid. It was his kid's birthday. And it was just like, if you're listening to Weezer for a private show in your backyard at 5, the rest of your life is going to be all downhill.
Be like having Eddie Van Halen as your dad.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you do?
You learn how to play the guitar, the bass.
But it's like an athlete who's got a kid who's trying to play like Jordan's kid trying to play basketball. You're never going to be as good as your dad.
Right.
Yeah.
Or play a different sport.
Yeah, I guess. Try something out.
Well, speaking of turning points, so you're going to get kind of like, instead of four words, I'm going to kick right into the reason I do this show is because you said something about turning points. And turning points to me are, I'm on a quest for greatness. I'm on a quest for change. I'm on a quest for things to be different in the entertainment world. So I want to know about what is inspiring. And you said it was a turning point for us. So think about your life, right? And, there's a moment when you had something happen and you turned left instead of right. What was that moment? And what inspired you to say, oh, wow. I mean, was it a bad something? Was it a good something? But you changed your life.
Two things, I think. I would say it was right around 2013, 2014 when DVDs kind of went extinct. So for my business of what I was doing in independent filmmaking, that was a big part of our money.
Right.
Because it was like selling hard goods. It was like selling, a pallet of Coke. Coca-Cola. Obviously. Yeah. Not blow.
I didn't go there.
I'd be making a lot more money than independent films if I was doing that. But it was like selling Pepsi or Coke, and you could pretty much guarantee how many units you were moving out the door,
right.
And you knew at least financially, you were going to be successful in making films. And I had produced maybe 10 or 11 films at that point, and it was with 50K and a Call Girl, where DVD went extinct. It was a great film, I thought, and the critics had liked it. And
right.
It was a bunch of film festivals, but there was no DVD sales. And so I looked at those streaming numbers, and they were awful. And at that point, I was kind of looking for the next phase of what media would be. And for me personally, my wife is huge into podcasts. And, I started listening to Joe Rogan. Rogan was probably my
right.
first, and Mark Maron, the two of those guys. And I thought that medium could be big, so I decided to get into that. I also thought books and audiobooks in particular could be huge, so I started writing books. I had always been asked by my agents over the years, hey, write a book. You do all these screenplays and all these movies, and it's nothing for you. Just write a book. And I was like, I've never written a book before. And then we were on I was doing an interview with, I forget which radio station it was, but
here
anyways,
locally.
Yeah. No, not here locally. It was somebody else. And they'd asked me to read an excerpt of 50 Shades of Grey as Morgan Freeman. I do a bunch of impressions. And so, it was like, there she was lying down on the bed. And he was hovering over her, and after the third time that I did one of these interviews about this book, I finally just read that book, and I thought it was terrible, but I got why chicks liked it. So I called my agent and I said, hey, has anybody ever written a romance novel for dudes? And he goes, no one's ever done that. And I was like, awesome. I'll make it hilarious and crass and the most out of control thing you could possibly do. And
so what's romance for a dude? Tell me.
Oh, prostitutes, a lot of prostitutes,
right.
Multiple women in the same evening.
Right.
Definitely coming home to your wife at 4 or 5 a.m., smelling like the booze and the sex, not apologizing for it. Anything a dude in this life
dreams he could do and can't get away with.
Yes, is in these books, right? Even like there's a scene where like,
and you have a forgiving wife.
Yeah,
well, she's like, yay, honey, I'm so happy for you.
But even the forgiveness is like it's like a backhanded compliment where it's like, come on, are you gonna find another dong like this out in the world? No, that's why you'll never leave me. So let's have sex and make up because I don't want to do this anymore. Right. And it's all written in that cadence and that style.
I think I know that guy.
Yeah, right, exactly. But it's all written in that cadence and style, and when it took off, when it did really well, then there was a sequel after it, and like I knew it could be. Well, it now is a series, but awesome. And then I wrote the new one, which comes out in 10 days. One of my co-hosts, Matt Best, big military guy, Special Forces, great life story, and we sold it to Penguin. And then we wrote that 3 years ago. It was at the Department of Defense for 17 months, and it's finally coming out August 20th, and that's called Thank You for My Service. Oh. And that details his life. And so I got to write that book with him about his life, and that was awesome. I have a question
for that. Thank you for your service. Mm-hmm. Do military guys get sick of hearing that?
Yes, which is why he called it Thank You for My Service. Because that way it's, again, a backhanded compliment of like, yeah, you're welcome for what I just did over there.
Right. Well, I have two brothers.
Of the wink of it.
Two of my older brothers went into the Air Force and they served, and just you used to always bug them. I just didn't know if it was across the board in the military.
I don't think it bothers them so much as like every guy in the military, and my co-host on Drinkin' Bros, Dan Holloway, is very humble about it. Mm-hmm. And I didn't find out that he killed hundreds of people until somebody else had told me, and I was just like, oh, hey, dude, did that slip your mind, or that you beat a guy to death? Like, because I never heard that from you. He's like, where'd you hear that? I was like, well, somebody else.
Right.
But they would never come out and say that on their own. Dan would never come out and say that on his own. Matt, in his book, he would never come out and tell these stories on his own unless somebody else did it, which is why, he asked me to write it with him, because to get these stories out into the world, they're just not built like that.
And they don't want to talk about it.
No. And not.
But I love special forces guys. Whenever I do a movie or I'm hanging out with guys like that, I'm drawn to people like that.
Every girl does.
Well,
and it's in this new book. Every girl loves them.
Well, I'm drawn to one. A lot of times they're polite.
Yes.
But they're protective, and they're loyal as hell.
Yeah.
So
why didn't you marry a veteran then?
Because I'm never getting married again.
Because I can introduce you to Dan. Dan's looking for that's right. You're right in his wheelhouse.
Oh no, I wear a skull on my ring finger now.
Really?
Yeah. No, that marriage that's done.
Yeah. One gotcha?
I say that. I say it's done. Yeah. He annihilated me.
Okay. So now it's just a skull. Yeah.
Yeah, it's skull. I know people, it's a phase.
Yeah. I'm sure you'll grow
never
out of
say
the skull.
Never.
Yeah.
But, for now it's a skull. But I do love the military guys.
Yeah.
They're hot.
Yeah. Well, again, I get a co-host who may not be sitting off camera, who's it's Friday night. He's looking for dates. He's a very
red.
polite male. Yeah. He's red because he's fair skinned. Let's not, yeah. He's not embarrassed. He's just very fair skinned.
You met your wife on a movie, and you can see the love radiate in this film. I mean, you can see even just in the trailer as it's going. It's like, oh, these people really love each other.
Yeah.
And did that happen through casting, or did it happen? Was it immediate? Did you know immediately?
I think it happened before that. So when I was writing the film, I didn't know who the girl was going to be. And I was really, really stuck on it. A bunch of my friends had just got back from Sundance, and they had sent me this trailer for this other movie, and they were like, man, this movie's awesome. You should go see this. You should go see this. And it was a Friday night.
Wow, you remember even the day.
100%.
She's really lucky.
Well, I'll tell you why. So it was a Friday night. I had gotten frustrated with the script because I typically like to write for specific voices, and I didn't know who this was. And I looked for this movie. It was playing at one place in town, which was on UCLA campus, and I lived in the Hollywood Hills. Mm-hmm. That's a trek. I mean, that's a 45-minute trek on a Friday night.
And it's only 2 miles.
Yeah. And most people on a Friday night are going out getting trashed, having a Long Island iced tea, a half a carafe. It's Saddle Ranch instead of going to an independent film where you're going to sit in an audience with 8 people. But that's what I did. And I remember the lights going down, and she came on screen. And within 20 seconds, I was like, that's the girl that I was writing about in this film. Oh. So on that Friday, we were in the middle of casting and stuff like that. And so I went in on Monday, and I called the casting directors, and I said, hey, great news. You only have to find one person, and you don't have to cast the rest of it. Do any castings. And they were like, what? And I was like, I think this girl is the girl who should be in this movie. So if you can track her down and her audition is good, that's it for you guys. You can take your money and go home. And they were like, perfect. So they found her. She came in and auditioned.
Nailed it.
Crush. And then I think we went out for beers afterwards, like for lunch or something.
Beer.
Yeah.
Beer leads to family.
Yeah. She threw on some flip-flops like after the audition, like took off the high heels and put on some flip-flops. And I was like, all right, this girl's down. Went to a bar and I
dive bar or regular bar?
Dive bar. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, it sounded like we were going to the Mondrian or something. So.
Wow. You never know.
I'm not that dude. But we had a blast, and I think it was then that I knew, and then the relationship progressed on the movie and all that other stuff.
That is
it's probably the only
awesome
Me
story.
Too that worked out.
That is an that's hilarious. So do you have a motto about yourself? Like mine's live like a man, love like a woman.
Is it really?
It really is. I mean, it has been for a lot of years. I mean, I have a couple different mottos throughout the years, and things change. But, men have a freedom that women don't. And I've always had, been kind of like balls to the walls and just did what I wanted, when I wanted, how I wanted.
Sure.
And so, yes, I've lived like a man.
Yeah.
And loved like a woman.
Okay. I would say my motto is don't be afraid to try reverse cowboy, even if you're not gay, because you might enjoy that.
No, tell me seriously.
No,
Tell me seriously.
I don't have a motto per se, but I believe in work ethic, and I believe in working hard. And if you put in the hours required for projects, you can be successful. I don't have a phrase other than Asian writing as a tattoo written on my ass, and that's true. That's a true story. But
show me. I don't think it's a true story. You have Asian writing?
Yeah. You know everybody gets Asian writing tattoos?
No.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, what does that mean?
I've got a lot of tattoos, but I don't have any Asian writing.
Nothing, but you know everybody else does, right?
No.
Yeah, they've always got some weird like symbol, and they're like, oh, what does that mean? They're like,
I don't know.
Patience, love, servitude.
And what does yours say?
Asian writing.
It does not. Yeah. Oh, you're going to show me your butt? 100%. It does. It says Asian writing.
So that way, when everybody asks me, like, hey, do you have any Asian writing tattoos? Or I see somebody with them, and I'm like, oh my God, I've got a beautiful Asian writing tattoo.
How drunk were you when you did that?
Stone sober. It was actually in that movie that I was talking about that I did with my wife.
I saw that part.
Yeah. So that was in there. A lot of people thought it was fake.
And
I do everything real.
Wow.
I'm 100% method.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you're really doing it.
Yeah. So we did it, and it ended up in the movie, and then it ended up my ass forever, which is awesome until your 5-year-old comes in and you hop out of the shower and he's like, Dad, what does that say? And I'm like, Asian writing. He doesn't get the joke yet, but he will in like 15 years.
Would you want him to have any tattoos?
I wouldn't mind it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a different call as long as they're cool, as long as the artist is good. I don't want him going down to Mexico with some guy cracked out in the back of a van with real shaky hands.
Gross.
Yeah, I don't want that.
That's a little scary.
But if he goes and sees like a sweet artist and he gets something cool, yeah. But I would recommend it after 25 years old, because let's face it, the first 25 years, whatever tattoos you're getting at that point, you don't really know what the fuck they are.
I love my tattoos.
What do you have?
Well, and some of them, I had an angry one removed.
What was it?
I had "fuck you" written on my Achilles tendon.
Did you tear your Achilles?
No, it was because of a circumstance in life that happened, and I was a little on the angry side.
Yeah, one.
And I put it in one word, and I figured if you could read it, you were too close.
I like that a lot. So what happened to that? Do you still have it?
No, I took that one off because I didn't want the energy of that on my leg.
Sure,
so,
that's probably also a tough one.
Taking off a tattoo.
Yeah.
Hurts about 1,000 times worse than getting a tattoo.
That's what I've heard. That's what everybody says.
It does. And but the rest of my tattoos are all on the backside.
Okay.
So because I did a lot of modeling in my past, and I wanted to be able to shake hands with the queen or curtsy to the queen and her not be able to see my tattoos.
Gotcha.
Or it just be on film and people not be able to see it. So
yeah,
they're on my backside.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. I would go against neck tattoos for sure. Neck, face, yeah.
Teardrop.
Jesus
you don't think
Christ.
a teardrop would suit me?
One of my favorites is Post Malone, and he's got like 19 face tattoos. He's a good-looking dude, and I don't understand it.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
I have a theory with it, because when anybody gets a face tattoo, is one of two things. You've given up on life, and you don't give a shit anymore.
You've been in jail.
Yes, you've been in jail.
You've killed someone.
Or with Post Malone, I think he does it simply because he knows, like, hey, man, I've got to work my ass off, because I can never get a job with this. He's got the whole contact sheet on his face at this point.
Well, I think he's all right. And he's okay for
financially.
An artist.
Yeah,
I think he's doing fine.
It.
I don't think he needed to do the tattoos.
He's killing
I think
the game.
He was talented enough without the tattoos.
Maybe.
I think so. I don't think the tattoos made him famous.
Yeah, no, they definitely didn't.
No.
But he got him afterwards, which was like,
which
hey,
is
man.
Weird.
It might have been just a nice reminder of keep working, Posty.
But I think it was probably a lot of drugs and alcohol at that point.
I don't know him personally, but hey,
I'm
not against it.
I don't either. Maybe not. Maybe he got him when he was stone sober, but like you.
Yeah.
Asian writing.
I get drunk afterwards, though.
When it comes to keeping my smile white, I only trust Oral Gen New Pearl Advanced Teeth Whitening System for sensitive teeth. With no harsh chemicals or peroxide, New Pearl offers a unique 99% natural formula that delivers professional results previously only available from your dentist.
Save 50% now on the new Pearl 32X Teeth Whitening Kit. Satisfaction guaranteed or your money back. Visit oralgen.com/livewithangie to order now.
I have angels on my back. I have a huge one, and I fell asleep.
Oh, during the tattoo?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Were you on pills?
No.
Nothing.
Mm-mm.
Sober as a judge on that.
Sober.
Man.
Yeah.
What was?
Well, because and the guy was like, he was telling me that if you drink when you get a tattoo,
yeah,
that it doesn't take as good. And
No.
and I got an angel. I have 2 angels on my back, and this angel's about this big. And it's a wingspan. It's an archangel. So I've got angel's got my back.
Gotcha. Who's the other one? Is it Chris? Is it Chris Angel? Is that the other angel on your back?
No, but I'd let him be on my back. I like Chris Angel.
Wow. I'd let him be on my front.
I would too.
Man. You're a big fan of Chris Angel.
I like magicians. David Blaine's a friend of mine. I think it's just a really cool thing that they do. I think I'm impressed by that.
It is, but aren't you worried, like behind closed doors, of like, hey, guess
He's
what?
gonna saw me in half.
Or you're hypnotized, and then the next thing you know,
no, I have nothing to hide.
you're hanging from a swing.
Oh, that sounds like fun too. No, I'm just kidding. Never mind. No, I just think that I like talented people, and I think that people who have that kind of talent are cool.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. My mom's a big Chris Angel fan. She'll love to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I embarrassed myself on that.
Yeah, I think you did too. You're a little red over your own comment, which is wild. Usually that happens on Drinkin' Bros, not on here.
Woo! Chris Angel. I know, but he's married. And,
is he really?
Yeah, I think he is married. I don't do married.
Okay. Not once?
Once.
Yeah, there it is. I knew there was one in that bag.
Yes, that's why I don't, because the karma.
Who was it? Are they still married?
Not to that person, but it wasn't because of me.
Okay.
It was a rock star, but.
Yeah. 80s band?
Yeah.
Yeah. God damn it. I knew
one.
it. I knew it. A good one.
A good one.
So if you're going 80s bands, good ones, I'd say Motley Crue, Poison, Skid Row.
Am I giving it away?
Guns N' Roses. That'd probably be who I would go with for you.
No.
It's not?
No, but moving on.
It wasn't JBJ, was it? It wasn't John Bon Jovi.
No.
Def Leppard?
No.
Okay. Did you fuck the one-armed drummer? No. If you did, it's cool, man. If you slept with a one-armed drummer, you tell me though, right? Because that would be
He's probably really good in bed.
Goddamn right he is. He's got to make up for that missing arm. Man, that would be something to believe in. I just want to meet one person in my life who slept with that dude. You know?
It wasn't me.
Because
I promise.
To get a bra off, one arm. You don't even think about shit like that. Where it was just that probably.
I had a
while.
nanny who had one arm.
Really?
Seriously, and she was the most resourceful woman that I know. She absolutely amazed me.
How did she clean the dishes?
She did. She did everything with one hand.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
She's Damien. She's a good girl. So back to the interview.
Yeah.
We kind of sidetracked.
Sorry
over
about
here.
that.
Can I ask you what you think of as what is your worst moment? Because I'm doing inspiration here, and everything I want to do is about inspired. And so bad moments in life often bring about empathy and learning. And is there a moment in your life that you can remember that, like, what's your worst failure?
My worst failure, I hate to.
If you can admit it.
Yeah, no, I can. I hate to go back to that movie, but it was that movie. It
movie?
was 50 Can a Call Girl, yeah. Financially,
and you call that a failure? You met your wife.
I did. But financially at the time, that movie did not do well, and that was the wrong time for a movie to not do well at that point.
Right.
And
because you're only as good as your last film in Hollywood.
Well, but it's also a dream. It shatters dreams of. I thought I'd made a really great movie. I thought it would be successful financially and everything else, because it was a really hard movie to shoot. We had about 287 hours of footage that had to be whittled down to 90 or 95 minutes, or whatever that turned out to be. And to work 3 years on a project and then have it financially not do well that you thought was great. Because I've worked on other projects that I thought were shitty that did well. And you're like, oh, all right, that's cool. But when you put everything into a project that you love and you're proud of, and then that fails, that's
kind of like your baby
one.
not succeeding.
Yeah. And that's a hard one to
get
pick
that.
yourself up off the floor of and be like, all right, time to get back on the horse and write another film or, direct something else. And that one in particular got me.
Do people see you, because this movie is about you having your characters having had brain cancer. So do people meet you that have seen this movie and they think that you're
Yes.
wow, you lived?
So what happened was after the first 2 screenings, when the lights came on, people were genuinely pissed off that I was alive and that I was in there, and they didn't know. And so after that,
because they thought because the
it was a
acting
true
was
story.
so good.
Correct.
And
then
great.
The
That's
pills,
not a failure.
like the pills and all that stuff. Like I'd gone into my doctor and gotten those, so those were real prescriptions. Like they weren't art department bottles or all that other stuff. And then the wildest thing was
what were the pills?
Like pain, like Vicodin, Oxy, all this other shit. And they were used throughout the film. And the weirdest thing is during those screenings, because the movie took so long in post, my wife was pregnant. So not only were we together and having a child and a family, but they wanted to believe in that story and they were pissed off that I was alive. So we stopped going to screenings after that. And then just let the movie live on its own, because, you don't want to ruin somebody else's experience of what you're seeing. And that's the whole thing about making movies. So yeah, but that one was,
Well, I
consider a failure where
I would be flattered because people thought that you were sick and the acting was so good, that take it as a compliment that people really got invested in your story.
Yeah, but here's what happened. I remember after the first screening, lights go on, we pop up, and the people in the theater had thought that they were in on a prank or part of an extension of that film.
Well, did you say this is a true story? I mean, it's
at the beginning we just said it as a true story, and that was that. And we were using our real names, so the people who had seen my work before or whatever, like, I had friends from college call me and say, hey, do you have cancer? Like, what's going on? Right. And, I had to tell them, hey, it's a movie and blah, blah, blah. But we used real names. We used real people. The other couple in that is married in real life too. So like it across the board, it was all real. And then we entered situations where we shot in restaurants, bars with hidden cameras, things like that. So like people didn't know we were shooting a movie a lot of the time.
Right.
Only a few people were in on it. And the director was one of those guys who was just
like,
we're doing
hard?
everything
was
real.
Was that hard on you, or was that just made things easier? I did that once. And it was really hard.
Yeah, me personally, I don't like to, like, the whole method thing is bullshit to me. And like, I don't want to live out a character after.
Me neither.
After the day is over, I'm good on that. Like I can go back to being a normal person.
Well, especially with brain cancer.
Yeah.
I don't think you want to take that home with you.
No, exactly. And
because cancer is not a good word.
No. And we creatively didn't see eye to eye on that with me and the director. And it is what it is. The shoot got done and the movie turned out great. But I don't need to live out that shit in real life.
So I went to the Oscars. I shot this movie called Welcome to Hollywood. And we had at the Oscars, I had just gotten married, and they asked me to go to the Oscars with somebody from this movie called Welcome to Hollywood and pretend like he's my boyfriend. And we've got hidden cameras everywhere at the Oscars.
I'm surprised you could get through security with that.
Well, there wasn't security at that time. So we're going down the red carpet, and I'm freaking out because I just got married, and I'm holding hands with this other guy.
Right.
And we're shooting the movie.
Yeah. As
I'm going down the red carpet with the Oscars. And I get into the Oscars and he says, I'm going to go on stage. I was like, please don't do that. And I instantly got a migraine because I was afraid he was going to go up. And he literally went to the side of the stage. He got there and he chickened out. He was going to go on stage. And
during the live Oscars?
During the live Oscars.
Wow.
And
that would have been massive, by the way.
We would have all been arrested.
Yeah, but it would have been great for the movie.
Yeah, and he was like, no, Tony Marks is the guy.
Okay.
And I had to go in and say, and his name when the movie was Nick Decker, and I had to say, this is Nick Decker, my boyfriend. And they're like, wait a minute, didn't you just get married?
Yeah.
And you're here with Nick?
Nick Decker? Yeah.
It was one of the worst experiences of my life. So that's my only kind of empathy to what you were shooting.
Yeah. It's strange, you know. Luckily I didn't have to go to the Oscars like that, but
well, maybe one day.
No, absolutely not. Have you seen my movies? They're crazy. I would never.
I know you like zombies.
Never go to the Oscars. I like
I
all that
be.
stuff.
I want to be a zombie in one of your movies.
You can?
I do. I want to be. I've never been a zombie.
Really?
Nope.
It's a good time. The makeup. You're in makeup for a long time.
Why zombies? What's the deal with that?
That was one. So there was a movie called Range 15 that I did. Oh shit! I started another zombie movie as well. You're right.
FDR.
FDR American Badass was werewolves.
Werewolves.
Yeah.
It's werewolves that you like more. Werewolves or zombies? Which one?
Night wolves.
Or both.
I prefer animals instead of like dead people.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Me
you
too.
give me like a nice animal, like a night wolf or a werewolf, like that. That'll get me from
Have
6
you
to
ever
midnight.
had a female werewolf?
Yeah. We had a female. There was one of the extras was a female werewolf in that movie.
Extra? Come on. Who
Well,
cares about extras?
we didn't have a choice.
No leads?
They were.
Sorry,
we were
no,
doing
I mean,
Axis
we care
of
about
Evil.
extras, but-
they were actually historical people. So they were. It was like Hirohito, Hitler,
Attila.
and Stalin. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we couldn't. A chick couldn't do it. You know. I'm sure. It's like, oh, sweet. He just said chick. Yeah. I don't care.
I don't either.
I don't
I'm
care.
okay with chick. My dad used to call us wenches.
Really?
In my family, yeah.
I like that. Very piratey.
Yeah.
Very
we
piratey.
We're his wenches. So those kind of things don't bug me at all.
All right.
As long as you're not pulling your pants down in front of me, you're fine.
Well, look. Depends on how many drinks we've had, obviously. So.
Nope. You're married. You're married. So what's the best thing you've ever done? Your baby, your prized possession, your success to date.
Sure. It would probably have to be my kids. I wouldn't consider any accomplishment in Hollywood like my best thing ever, just simply because it'll never be as important as a child or a human life. So yeah, if we're switching it to Hollywood stuff, I would definitely say the St. James Street James books. Those are my favorites for sure. And I want those to be made into an HBO series.
Are you writing them?
Yes. Yeah. So the pilot's done and everything. My level of
the series.
fame,
Are you?
Yeah. I'm already on
writing?
3. The first 2 books are already out. And then the Audibles are like the highest rated Audible books on all of Audible.
You are a busy guy.
So you know
you do 2 podcasts. You're an author, actor, writer, and you're very talented.
Yeah. I feel like I am. My juggling skills are also very underrated.
Well, for real
Chainsaws.
juggling.
Chainsaws, yeah. Live chainsaws, that's the only way I juggle. That's it. Just crank up a chainsaw, put some diesel in there because I want to smell it, you know?
Right.
I want to be
Have
on
you
the
done that
verge
in
of
a movie?
passing out. No, but I should. I want to be on the verge of passing out with a live chainsaw. That's the only way I live.
Just
you know?
the sound of a chainsaw is like, ooh,
Real close to the edge. That's
that's horrible.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It just reminds me of Scarface.
Oh, yeah. With it in the bathtub
In the bathroom.
scene. That's one of my favorites.
I think my favorite part is when he comes out and he shoots the guy and he's like, "You're dead."
Yeah.
That's it.
It's a great movie. They'll probably remake it and ruin it.
I watch that every year on my birthday.
Is that your go-to?
That is one of, I just love that movie.
Scarface?
I love it. I don't know why. It just kind of became a thing. I throw parties on my birthday and everybody's out partying and I'll have Scarface sitting playing somewhere.
Yeah. You're into the gangster movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like action movies.
All right.
I'm not into like gore and blood and a lot, but you know.
Sure. I'm not. Most of mine are comedic, so I don't like the blood and all that stuff. Doesn't really bother me. It's more for a comedic aspect rather than, oh hey, you're gonna be real scared by this. There's no way you'd be scared in any of my movies. I don't think.
So, who's been your favorite guest that you've had? Who's been your favorite guest?
On Drinkin Bros podcast? On Drinkin Bros podcast, I would have to say, God, we've had a lot of great guests on there. I would have to say Rob O'Neill, the guy who killed Osama bin Laden.
Because he inspired you?
No. Because that's the guy you hope killed bin Laden, but you're just like, oh man, yeah, like energetic, fun, a blast. Like after the show was over, we went out to a dive bar to watch the World Series. He was like, let's just go watch the World Series and hang out. We was doing shots of tequila on like a Tuesday, watching the World Series with him. And
what a credit that is to your name.
Well, the other thing too about how humbling is the way he was speaking about, look, man, I just happened to be the last guy in there at that right time. It could have been someone else. And then I killed him, and he goes, it wasn't that big of a deal, really, because it was a big deal because of who the guy was, obviously. Right. But they're trained to do that. Yeah. And he's trained. He was like, it was an easy kill. Like the wife was 5'2", he was 6'6", like boom. It was, he tried to shield her, and it was like, hey man, this is an easy one. But that was one of my favorites, just because I knew how big that was. Right. In that moment in history. And it's like, you can't. Where were you? We were in San Antonio, Texas, and we'd flown in for it specifically. So Where were you when the towers went down? I was in Los Angeles at the time. And I think because, I have a lot of friends, most of my best friends were in the military. A lot of them joined because of 9/11 and the fact that he was the one who got to kill bin Laden. And also, again, I really can't stress, he's the guy you hoped did it. Right. Because he's just a blast to hang out with. So you're like, yes, man. Because you can't go back in time. Like you'll never meet the guy who killed Hitler, obviously, He allegedly killed himself, or may or may not have been living in Brazil for years. But there's very few people in history where you can say, hey, you got to take out the baddest dude on the planet, So to me, that was a big deal for me personally. There's been heroes of mine that I've had on the show that were amazing. Like Bobby Knight, the coach of Indiana. He was that was a dream come true, where you're just like, all right, cool. You're kind of shaking through the interview, just trying to get through it, because you're like, oh my God, he could die at any second. I'm kidding. No, but he's such a legend, and he doesn't do any interviews, and it was a really hard one to get. It took about 6 months to go through the agencies and all the other stuff. Those are a blast. And then for the sports show, our Drinkin' Bros Sports Companion show, my co-host Dan Holloway and I, we get to travel around every 2 weeks and go to the biggest sporting event on the planet and do a live show. That's so much fun. The best. That is so much fun. The best. So how do you beat that in life? So each one of those shows are a blast, just because of where you are, the energy. It's the biggest game on the planet. Everybody's watching it on television or at bars or whatever, and you're there. You get to be there and experience it. So those are my favorites. On Ross Patterson Revolution podcast, one of my favorite guests was a guy who wrote the simulation hypothesis book, a guy named Rizwan Virk, MIT professor, and one of the most brilliant men I've ever got to talk to. So much so that you're nervous talking to him because mentally you don't feel like you're anywhere near his level, and he could just rip off an anecdote that you don't know, and then and then he would call you on, like he could call you on it and say, you have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about, do you? Well, I like it when I'm the dumbest person in the room, because because I know that I'm in the presence of greatness, and I've been, because I had cancer, I've researched a ton of really smart people and gotten a lot of people involved with different aspects and charities, and I really love smart people. That I can understand why that's your favorite person, because your favorite guest, because I hate dummies. I hate dum-dums. That's a big, I'm serious. You can ask any one of my friends. My biggest pet peeve in life is dumb people having to go to a dinner party with dumb people. I will make some excuse to get right the fuck out of that restaurant, like get out of there, because I just can't stand the conversation for an hour and a half. I never played a dumb girl in a movie. In a movie? I just wouldn't do it. They were, they're always, giving me parts where you have to take your clothes off, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to play the dumb bimbo in a movie. Right. Not going to do it. Yeah. So I relate to that. Yeah. Didn't want to be the dummy.
But
Didn't
I
want to
like
be the dummy.
I like it when there's a lot of smart people in the room. So
Same.
that's
I feel
different.
like
There's a difference there.
99% of the time I'm able to hold a conversation. That was one guy
Right.
I was not, where I was just like, man, you were a brilliant man, and I am just an absolute idiot.
Right. Well, I feel like I'm worldly enough to have a conversation with just about anybody.
I do
I've been
too.
around the world. I have 7 passports. I've been to pretty much practically.
But when you start talking about molecular, genetics
not
and
that
biology,
kind of
it's
thing.
like, dude, I'm not on that level.
But they know that.
I think
They know that.
and he
There's a
that's-
few people that they-
That's why it was such a great interview. Was he didn't press it or go there and
Right.
say, "Hey, man, you know nothing about what I'm talking about,"
Well,
and he could have,
sure. But then what kind of interview would that be?
You never know, man. Some are like pulling teeth.
Like this one?
No,
I'm kidding.
not this. This will be the best interview you ever get, Angie. No, some are like pulling teeth, where it's just like you get one word answers. Yeah. Yeah.
I did another podcast with a comedian, and we had a guest on one time, and it was painful.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna say who it was, but it was somebody in the music industry you'd think would be a great guest,
Sure.
and must have had a fight or something, but came in and was just yes, no, yes,
Gotcha.
and I just wanted to crawl under the table. It was a hard one.
Yeah, I had one like that with a musician who was too cool for school. It was just like, hey, how are groupies or whatever. And he's like, look, man, after every show, there's like 15 girls waiting outside my dressing room, and I go fuck all of them. So I don't.
That's
you don't
pure
have to ask
inspiration,
me.
isn't it?
Yeah, and he was like, you don't have to ask me about that. Like, I don't feel like going to those stories because that's my life every night. And you're like, okay. That one sucked. I'm not gonna say who it was. And then there was another one with an athlete that was a really, really famous athlete that was just brutal. I mean, I was because I had my watch and was on the phone, so I was counting down the minutes of like, oh my god, can this just please be over? And I'm firing off questions that like are just endless and meaningless at that point, where I'm just like, your dog's name. So what's that like? What's their fetch response time? And you're like, I was out. I was out of questions after like 27 minutes, and I was just like, Jesus. That one was brutal.
Well, I really appreciate you doing my show.
Absolutely.
I'm so excited about bringing some good stuff out there to talk about some positivity and inspiration rather than the bad stuff, and because I'm just tired of it. So that's the reason I did it, and you're one of my first guests, and thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. So,
tell everybody how to find you. What are your socials? Where's your podcast?
Social security number is 35. No, I'm kidding.
Be careful.
No, at ST James on Instagram and on Twitter. Facebook, there's just a fan page set up named Ross Patterson. I thought I would name it after myself.
Yeah.
And then books are Amazon, movies, Amazon, like everywhere that books and movies are sold. So,
well, good luck on your new book.
Thank you so much.
Good
Super
luck.
amped about it.
It sounds great.
Yeah, 11 days. 11 days it comes out. Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
I know.
Go buy his new book.
Yeah. Thank you for my service. Go buy that now.
Thank you for my service. Thank you for your service.
Well, no, you don't thank me. I've only played a military guy in a movie. But I do feel that I'm more brave than my co-hosts on Drinkin Bros podcast. So just want to put that in there for them. Because when they go home and listen, like I want them to know my bravery is obviously
challenge.
Yeah, it's way more than probably they'd ever do. So whatever.
Okay.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.